All right, Raider Nation, let's talk about what's going on with the Las Vegas Raiders offensive coordinator situation and defensive coordinator situation, because this is going to play a lot into the future of the Las Vegas Raiders and whether or not we have success or we just have more abysmal failure, which we have experienced over the past 20 plus years. Let's get into the top candidates today for offensive coordinator, as well as what is going on with Patrick Graham and Robbie Leonard with the defensive coordinator position. Let's start out with the offense today, but before we do, make sure that you guys do me a big, huge favor and make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we are only a handful of subscribers away from 11,000 subscribers to the channel. Huge achievement, and thank you to all of you who have supported me throughout this entire process. Also, don't forget to hit that like button on your way out, as it really helps out the podcast to get out to more people, and make sure you are dropping your comments, because I try to read as many of them as possible and respond to as many as possible. Let's talk about the situation with the offensive coordinator. Now, surprisingly, the Raiders are interviewing Bo Hardegree. Now, if you guys remember, Bo Hardegree was the interim offensive coordinator when Josh McDaniels got fired. He was the quarterback's coach, has a very close personal relationship with Aiden OConnell. And he basically, the fact that he is even in this conversation does kind of spell that the Raiders are thinking about bringing back some continuity. Now, listen, this was Josh McDaniels' offense, so we don't know what Bo Hardegree is going to bring on his own. Would he just kind of re-implement Josh McDaniels' offense and go from there? I mean, he did have some success with it with Aiden OConnell. Him and Aiden OConnell are very familiar with each other, and they did win some games. Or will Bo Hardegree come with his own playbook? Has he ever designed his own playbook? We just don't know. But I think it's very interesting that the Raiders are talking to Bo Hardegree and maybe having him become the offensive coordinator under Pete Carroll. Now, there's another thing that I'm going to talk about at the end of this video, so make sure that you stick to that because it's very, very important. But let's finish off with the offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators before we get to that important announcement. And that is that he's not the only one, but if he does get the job, I think that this kind of signals that Aiden OConnell is going to be the starter for 2025, and he will, get his shot. He will get a full season to see whether or not this dude is it or not it. Because if you combine some of the statements that Pete Carroll made in his introductory press conference, where he was talking about run the ball, offensive line, protect your quarterback, that to me spells a pocket passer. That's a Tom Brady style quarterback and offense. And so if Pete Carroll has that in his mind, that he's working with the quarterback that he has right now. Let's be honest, Minshew's not going to be here next year. If they keep Minshew here, it is absolute insanity, and the new GM and head coach need to be fired week one, right? So they're not going to keep him. They're going to get rid of him. And so Aiden OConnell is your quarterback. That's who you're signing up with, because you don't know who you're going to get in the draft. You don't know who you're going to get in the free agency. So when Pete Carroll comes and takes his job, he is taking it with Aiden OConnell being his starting quarterback. And I think it's kind of telling that the fact that they would even interview Bo Hardegree, who's never been an offensive coordinator, never designed his own playbook, other than just being an interim offensive coordinator when McDaniels was fired. That says a lot, guys. That kind of, to me, spells Aiden OConnell as a starter for 2025. But he's not the only one. Let's also talk about a couple of the other prospects. And we have David Shaw, former head coach of Stanford, had a lot of success with Drew Luck and Andrew Luck. I guess Drew Luck. He had a lot of success with him. Christian McCaffrey. They were never able to win a national championship, but they did put together a lot of winning seasons. He's a great coach, tons of experience. He would make for a great offensive coordinator. Again, he's going to focus a lot on the run and offensive line like he did in Stanford. It's not so much about the quarterback, but it's about running the ball, and it is about having the best offensive line in football. And so that's what you're going to get with David Shaw. He's kind of an outlier. He could get the job right now. I think he's working for Denver in the front office. He's not even coaching. So he's kind of an outlier to get the job, but he certainly is a guy that you could bring in, and I think you would have some success with as offensive coordinator. And also, they have Todd Monken, from who is the current offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. He has done wonders there, helping that team have a ton of success and helping their quarterback, win MVPs and stuff. So Todd Monken is a very good one, but he is working with a very elite mobile quarterback, not a stationary guy like Aiden O'Connell. So if you bring in Todd Monken, does that mean that the Raiders are going to go after a mobile quarterback like maybe Justin Fields in the free agency? We just don't really know, but the Raiders have requested an interview with him. Now, according to the new NFL rules, even though he is the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, according to a new rule change that just happened, he can now leave and do a lateral position move. So before, the rule used to be that if you were, say, an offensive coordinator, you could not leave. If you were under contract, you could not leave to take another offensive coordinator job. You could leave to take a head coaching job, which would be a promotion, but you could not leave to do a lateral move. It had to be a vertical move up. Now, the rule is you can leave. You can leave. You could be the offensive coordinator. Cliff Kingsbury could be our offensive coordinator, right? And even I didn't know that they had changed this rule until recently. I thought because Cliff Kingsbury was still under contract, just signed his 3-year deal with Washington, you could go after a Cliff Kingsbury and try and get him back, right? You could offer him more money. You could offer him taking over the reins, pretty much putting that in his contract that he'll take over the reins when Pete Carroll retires in 3 years. Because let's be honest, Pete Carroll's not going to coach this team for the next 10 years. He's 73, going to be 74. A 3-year deal, that's going to put him at like 76, 77 years old by the time he retires. That's plenty enough for him to come in, change the culture, build a winning culture, and groom his successor, and then the successor takes over. So that could be very enticing for Todd Monken, because listen, John Harbaugh ain't quitting no time soon. He ain't retiring no time soon. That dude's going to be Baltimore's head coach for the next 25 years. Maybe that's exaggeration. I don't know. But as long as he keeps getting them into playoff games and AFC championships and Super Bowls, he ain't going nowhere, right? So Todd Monken, if he ever wants to take over that team, he's going to have to wait a lifetime to get there. But if you come to the Raiders and make that lateral move, you're the offensive coordinator, help us build this winning organization, and in 3 years when Pete Carroll steps aside, you now are going to take over this team. That is a very enticing thing to pull a guy away from Lamar Jackson as his quarterback to Aiden O'Connell or a Justin Fields, because you basically are almost guaranteed that you're going to be a head coach, which is every coach's dream. So I think it's very interesting that Todd Monken has been requested by Baltimore. Baltimore apparently cannot block it thanks to the new NFL rule. What do you guys think about these 3 offensive coordinator positions? And remember, because of the rule change, the Raiders could request Cliff Kingsbury, right? We could bring in Cliff Kingsbury, give him a 3-year deal with the promise that he will be the head coach when Pete Carroll retires. So, and there is some smoke behind that as well. We'll see if it actually happens. I don't know. But who do you guys think about the offensive coordinator? Want to see your comments down below. Now, let's get into defensive coordinator. And right now, the Raiders are, requesting that, again, they offered Patrick Graham an extension. He denied it. He wanted to see what was else out there. Now that Pete Carroll's here, now that we have Spy Tech here, is Patrick Graham more interested in staying? And so they are interviewing him and trying to convince him to stay. However, they are hedging their bets, and a young and up-and-coming defensive mind is Robbie Leonard. He is the current defensive line coach. The team absolutely loves him. People say that he is just a whiz kid when it comes to defensive schemes, and he is going to be a fantastic defensive coordinator, potentially head coach at some point in the future. Other teams are also very interested in Robbie Leonard. So if Patrick Graham doesn't stay, we have to pretty much give the reins over to Robbie Leonard. He's going to institute the same defense. Maybe he puts his own little spin on it in stuff, but there's going to be continuity there with Max Crosby and that defense by going with Robbie Leonard. There are other candidates as well that you could look at. Steve Spagnuolo is another guy after, the Chiefs win their three-peat, which we all know is going to happen because it's scripted and the NFL is going to make sure. Just go watch the Buffalo Bills AFC Championship game and you can see how much the refs made sure that Patrick Graham would be, or that Patrick Mahomes would be back in the Super Bowl. It was absolutely disgusting. I just couldn't even bear it. I was so hoping the Bills would beat them, and the Bills should have beat them, but hey, the refs are on the Chiefs side. So Steve Spagnuolo is another guy. He's a defensive coordinator. He's a fantastic coach. The Raiders could go after him and say, listen, come over here to the Raiders, and we'll hand the reins off to you when Pete Carroll goes by the wayside in 3 years into retirement. So those are your main candidates that you have right now as of the latest news. Who do you guys like out of all of that? Do you want to see Patrick Graham come back? Drop a comment. Do you like Robbie Leonard and want to see him get that elevation if Patrick Graham steps aside and goes somewhere else? Or would you like to see go outside of the Raiders and recruit a guy like Steve Spagnuolo or others that are out there as well? Drop your comments and I will respond to as many as I can. Now, I promised you that I was going to talk to you guys about something. And this is that on Super Bowl, we're going to have a live 3-hour plus live stream for the Super Bowl. I know I'm disgusted that it's going to be the Chiefs, so I'm going to be rooting for the Eagles to destroy them, and I hope that it happens. I hope all of you guys will join me. We are going to give away that $1,000 prize. I've been telling you guys about it. It is the Eberly Stock bag full of all kinds of goodies from my friends over at Outdoor Element, my medic, as well as a smart gimbal that we're going to throw in there. The total package is worth over $1,000. If you guys want to win it, I will be giving it away on Super Bowl Sunday during the live stream. You have to be there to win it, and you have to go over to blackrainofficial.com and sign up for the newsletter. If you do so, you will automatically be entered to win. We will announce the winner off of our email list from the newsletter. If you are present during the live stream on the Super Bowl, you will be the winner. So guys, make sure you join me over there. And again, we're only a handful away from 11,000 subscribers. Guys, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you love the Raiders and Raiders content, we bring it to you to the best of our ability each and every single day. Guys, I'll see you in the next video. Go Raiders!